Welcome to Google Sites Training 2014. My name is Steve Sandy and I will be your presenter today. Today we will discuss the basics of web design, learn what features come with Google Sites, and plan and start to build our very own Google site. Before we get into Google Sites, it's best to grab a scrap piece of paper and just plan out your site. Think about what goals you're trying to reach with your site. For me, I was building a CLT site for a group of technology teachers that were in different schools throughout our county. So you always start with a home page, and then from there think about what other pages would be useful to have in your site. For me, I thought maybe a team page would be good to have. That would have like the bios of our team members and their pictures. I thought it'd be good to have a to-do list page where we could put items that we need to accomplish as a CLT, an agenda page for our meetings, a files page for any files we want to share and collaborate with. This is one of the main strengths of Google Sites, are the files and the real-time editing and sharing that you can do. And then possibly the meeting dates, when we're meeting, having a calendar there, a Google Calendar, and so forth. So that's what I thought for my CLT site. But right now, grab a piece of paper and start to brainstorm a little bit and sketch out what you think your site might look like, what components you want to have. Now that you have your site mapped out and you have an idea of what you want to do, go ahead and log into your Google account. And for me, I usually start in my Drive account, but I want to go up here to the Apps area and click on it. This will bring up all the different apps that I have, and if Google Sites is not one of your apps, you can come down here to More and find Google Sites and add it to your apps. But get Google Sites and click on it. And these are the different sites that I have already, and we're going to be creating a new site. So now that we're ready to create a site, we're going to go ahead and click on Create. There are templates that you can choose from. There's a couple of samples here, and you can browse the gallery for more. We're going to make ours from scratch, so just click on Blank Template and then name your site. I'm naming mine CLT TRN for training and 14 for the year. Whatever you fill in here automatically goes into your URL. And sometimes if your name is a common name, you may not it may not accept it because it may already be in use. We will select a theme. And there's a variety of themes to choose from. You can choose one that's pleasing to you. I'm going to go with Leather Panel. There's more options here. You can give your site a description if you want. You can mark if it is for adults only. I'm going to skip those two things. Then we have to type one of these codes in here. I know these are necessary, but sometimes I have trouble reading these. This isn't too bad. Now we'll go ahead and click on Create, and we'll see if it accepts our name that's in our URL. Looks like it's working. It's creating our site. At this point, you may be getting something that says your URL is not allowed. Means that it has already been used, so you just want to change your name of your site slightly and make it something that is unique. And once it is created, it will come up and you'll have the beginnings of your website. Alright, now that we have our sites started, let's go ahead and look at some of the configuration tools. Up here in the right hand corner, there are 4 different areas that we can use to edit our site. The first one is to edit the page. We'll come back to that. The next tool is to make a new page. We'll come back to that. The last one is to share, and this sets the settings on who can see it. And this tool here is where we're going to start. It's for more actions. If we open this, you can see that there's a lot of different things we can do under this section. Many of them are beyond the scope of this training. We're just getting the basics down right now. So we're going to come all the way down here to Manage Site. Now chances are you had to give your page a name that was a little bit different to make it unique. Here we can rename our page without changing our URL. So the CLT-TRN14, I'm going to make CLT Training 2014. And then we can choose if we want that to show on top of our pages or not. I'm going to leave that show up here. There's a site notice. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip the site description. We already talked about mature content. I'm going to skip that. The landing page, this is the default page, so this is our home page. We're going to keep that. Gives us our site storage. We can copy, publish as a template. We can delete the site if we decide we don't want it. Configure our search options. Here there's a search option at the top of the page, and it's going to automatically go to this site. You can also choose if you want to add Google, that if you search on this site it will look through your site as well as the internet. I'm going to leave it on this site for now. Statistics, this is beyond the scope of this training, but you can enable statistics tracking for your site. Webmaster Tools is also beyond the scope of this training. You can set your language. You can set it for mobile, so it automatically adjusts to mobile phones. If someone wants to use your site on a phone, you can check this. Security, allow embedding of your site into other sites. I'm not going to select that for now. I don't see that as being necessary for this particular site. And then some user access, who can access the site, and anyone on the web, you can change that. And who can see the revision history, we're going to leave that as collaborators. So really the only thing we changed on here is the name. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and click on Save. Your changes have been saved. So now to get back to our site, if we click on this CLT TRT 14, and now we're back to our website, and you can see the name has changed. Now that we have our page named, let's take a look at the site layout. We'll come up here to the More Actions menu, come down to Site Layout, and our options are displayed across the top. We can choose to have a header, which will appear across the top of every single page on our website. We could choose horizontal navigation, which will give us links to all of the pages in our website across the top of the screen. We could have a sidebar navigation, which would list the links to all the pages in our site down the left-hand side of the page. And then the custom footer would also be appearing on every single page in the website. For me, I choose to have a header and the sidebar navigation. Some people prefer to have the horizontal navigation. That would free up this sidebar space and give this all open to text. I kind of like sidebar navigation and then my body of my website in this area. But it's up to you. You can choose one or the other. You can choose both if you want. I believe developers like to choose one or the other. Rarely will you see both on a website. So I ran into a little bit of trouble with the theme I selected for my site and the sidebar. Rather than go back and edit out the problem that I had, I'm going to leave it in and show you how I worked through the problem, so if you run into something similar, you have a little bit of direction on what to do. So here's what happened. So I was going to show you how to add a page to your site next, and then get it to show in the horizontal or the vertical navigation, the sidebar. In doing that, I noticed that the names for my page that I added did not appear in my sidebar. But if you look at the mouse, it turns into a link, and the links are there, we just can't see them. So I went to Manage Site, and down here is a place where you can mess with the themes, colors, and fonts. And in the themes, colors, and fonts, you can edit the theme, the colors, images of the entire page, the header, content area gadgets, sidebar gadgets, horizontal navigation. So I tried the entire page and went to text, and for the font color, it's set at theme. I tried to override it and set it at a different color. That didn't work, it still didn't show. So I came down here to sidebar gadget, did the same thing, went over to text, and tried to change the color to something different. Again, it didn't work, it didn't show, no matter what color I chose. So as a last resort, I went back up here to the theme, where I chose leather panel to start with, and I tried Solitude Olive. It's also kind of a greenish color, so I chose that theme. And now the links show on the sidebar, where before they didn't in leather panel. The links don't show. So I tried some of the other panel ones, and none of them look like they're working as far as showing the links. So I'm just going to choose a different color, a different theme, and my links show, so that's okay, and I'll hit save. I'll go back to our site, and now I have my site still, everything's still named the same. I have my pages on my sidebar, and the text is showing now for the links. So on with the training. Alright, let's go ahead and make a page. So up here at the top, there's the link for the new page tool. We're going to name our page. Now earlier in the training you should have brainstormed a list of pages you'd like to include in your site. I'm going to call this one Meet the Team, and use it as a biography page for the team members. There's different types of pages you can make. The simplest is a web page. You can write content directly to it, embed gadgets, arrange it however you want. There's also standard formatting tools like bold, italic, underline, bullets, and so forth. Other types of pages are the announcements page. It's a lot like a blog. Announcement page displays posts you make in chronological order, starting with the most recent. The next is the file cabinet. The file cabinet lets you store and organize files from your computer's hard drive or from your Google Drive. Makes it easy to share files with other users on your site. Anyone who's subscribed to the page will be notified when files are added, changed, or removed. And the list page lets you make and organize lists of information. Items on the lists are easy to add, edit, and remove, and viewers can sort it by column. Like the file cabinet, subscribers are notified when the items are added, changed, or removed. So I'm going to make this a web page. I'm going to keep it at the top level, and we're going to go ahead and create it. And now it opens up right into the editor, and you can start editing your page right away by adding content. I'm going to just save it the way it is for now. Now that we have a page set up, let's take a look at editing the page. To edit the page itself, we have to click on the pencil icon up here for Edit Page. This will bring up our editor. The first thing we want to do is take a look at the layout options. Right now we have one column that's simple. And this is, we're talking about the body of our web page. So this area right here. So for layout, you could choose one column. You could divide it into two columns. Now we have two sections for the main body of our site, plus our sidebar if you're using a sidebar. We choose three columns. We could do one column but split into three rows. So there's all kinds of different layout options. Choose one that is pleasing to you. I like to keep it simple with just a one column or possibly two, but it's totally up to you which one you want to select. Now that we have our site created, we have some pages in our site, we have the layout set the way that we want it, we can actually start to add content to our site. We'll come back up here to the pencil for editing the page, and we can start typing our content in, and we have our formatting up here that we can choose from. We can also choose to insert apps and gadgets. Some common ones, you can insert an image, a link, table of contents, and so forth. Gadgets, we can insert a text box. There's more gadgets here that you can explore. From Google, we can insert a calendar, a chart, and here's the whole power of the Google Sites, in my opinion, is the Google Drive. We can add documents right from our Google Drive account to our Google site, and this will allow anyone that has access to our site, as long as we have the document set up to be public, to be able to get the documents from our site and edit and change our document and collaborate. So with Google Sites, everything can be in one spot, everyone knows where to go to get it, and everyone can collaborate on the same documents, the same forms, presentations, spreadsheets, etc. If you create a Google group and you have a Google group going, you can embed that into your site as well, and you can add items to your Google group and everyone will be notified as to what's going on. That's another powerful tool that you can use. So I encourage you to explore this area on what you can insert. It's beyond the scope of this training to go over every single one of them, but exploring is fun, and go ahead and explore through some of these gadgets and apps and see what there is available for you to add to your site. That's all, folks. Thank you for taking the time to look through this video. Hopefully it gave you some ideas on where to get started with Google Sites. The best thing to do is to just explore Google Sites and experiment with it, and you can certainly come back to this video for any sections that you may have questions about or want to view again. But the fun is in exploring and setting up your very own Google site.